Welcome to another episode of Construction War Stories. This job was one of my first jobs back in 1992. We were building a 16-story high-rise back in Puerto Rico. And when you build a high-rise, you have these really tall tower cranes. And at the very top of the tower crane, it's very high up in the air. And just to look down on it, you can get scared. I mean, you look down, you're like, oh my God. But anyway, the tower crane has an arm and it extends out maybe 50, 70, 80 feet out into the open. One day we were pouring concrete. What we have is a 2 cubic yard cup, basically, which takes the concrete up and down into the building. And imagine we're going up 16 stories. And this 2 cubic yards of concrete weighs thousands of pounds. So one night we were pouring concrete and I was down at the bottom helping the concrete truck guy pour the concrete into the 2 cubic yard cup. Let's call it a cup. So we're taking the concrete up and down, and the guys were up at the 16th floor pouring the concrete, and then they would empty it out, and then the thing would come back down. And me and the concrete truck guy were there filling it up, and I was downstairs just watching it go up and down. On one of the times that it went up, the thing was going up and up and up, and we were looking up, and I hear my construction guys up at the top yelling, "Hey, watch it, watch it!" And we were looking up and we didn't see anything because it was dark and we were pouring at nighttime. And we would look up and go, what's going on with these guys? And suddenly we would hear a noise that was going pop, pop, pop. And when we looked at the cable that was holding up that 2 cubic yard bucket, we saw that the rope was snapping and you could hear this cable going whoosh, 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 whoosh. And imagine, we were right below it looking up and we were like, oh my God. And the thing snapped with a pop and it started to come down from 16 floors. I did a 180 and I booked and I ran as fast as I could. The concrete truck driver, he didn't think, he just turned around and smacked his own concrete truck and he was out like a light bulb. Anyway, the bucket was coming down at 100 miles an hour, and when that thing hit the ground, thud! And I almost fell to the ground with the shaking that it had. And everybody upstairs was screaming, oh my God, what's going on? Needless to say, nobody was hurt, and there was a big crater left in the ground. The next day, the superintendent to the job shows up, and he takes me, I'm the youngest guy on staff, and he goes,
Greg, I need you to find out what's going on with this thing.
And I was like,
what? Let me go up into the tower crane like at the very tip?
he goes,
Yes.
I said, you serious? And he was like,
Yes.
and I said,
okay.
so I proceeded to climb the tower crane, hundreds of feet up in the air. And then when I looked at the arm, it was like, oh my God, I have to go out all the way to the tip of the arm. And I walked out very carefully to the tip of the arm until I got to the very, very tip, and I saw where the pulley was, where the cable that snapped was in, and it had a sharp edge to it. It actually started to cut into the cable little by little until it snapped. I took my pictures and I came back down and I almost died of a nervous heart attack. But after years of doing this, you get used to that kind of thing. But that's a lesson. It's a lesson where if you have these tower cranes, these things have a lot of moving parts that they should be maintained, and you should have a record of inspections that you make to them regularly. So, would you have gone up if they would have asked you? You can comment below, like, and subscribe. Another war story.